everyone. Welcome to another virtual reading to dogs. My name is Miss Nordjack, and I work at the Bull Run Library, and I'm here today with Miss Amanda from Central Library and her very special guest, which I'll have her introduce. We're going to focus on a couple cool topics today, all about training your dog and how one begins the steps and adventure of starting a therapy dog practice. So thank you, Amanda, for joining us. And who is with us today?
Great. Okay. So this is Winnie. Winnie.
Oh, hello. Oh my gosh.
She is a 16-week-old Newfoundland puppy.
Wow.
And she's probably almost 40 pounds by now. We're going to get weighed on Friday. She's special because she's not a breed standard. So because her eyes are like this bluish, greenish, gray color. And then she's actually like a charcoal gray. So so that's technically not, like they're usually black, brown.
Yeah.
So you can tell when she's next to something like something black, or when she was with her litter in the pictures that she's gray, but she's kind of like a muted black almost, but she's very much a puppy. She's she's adorable. She's probably doubled in size in the month that we've had her.
My goodness. Look at her.
You are really killing it for us. Okay.
Yes.
She's very friendly, she loves people. She's not old enough to be around dogs yet, but once we have our last shots, she'll get to. And as you can see, she's very food motivated.
Yes.
She loves snacks, but we're careful because we don't want her to get too chunky.
I was going to ask, because they're a bigger size and a bigger breed, do they require more food than, say, a lesser heavy dog?
They do require more because they're larger, but not as much as you would probably think. Like right now, she gets like 3.5 cups a day plus treats here and there. And she loves her, and like a banana. She loves her banana. She thinks I have something.
Yeah.
Nice. But just because of the fact that these dogs have, I think with a lot of the giants, they're very prone to being bloated or having joint issues. So to have them stay kind of, lean is in their better interests. So like when she's wet, she looks like a totally different dog. She's very tiny and lanky. So we might have to get ice cubes.
Oh, no. Oh.
Ouch! So this is good teething, like, because she's just getting used to it. But there are times when she gets wild on me and it really hurts. And that's when I will get up and turn my back to her so that way she doesn't get attention.
Oh my gosh. People have been telling me that with my toddler as well when he acts up. Like, just turn around.
Yeah. And that, because the thing is, I like a lot of the ideas I have found that people say about training are kind of antiquated. Like it's kind of like parenting, like things change. Like you do not rub their nose in their mistakes. Like if a dog has, like, you don't do that. So if she goes, and it makes sense. Like if she has an accident on the floor, it's not her fault. It's because, she's actually very smart. Like she knows to go to the door, and she'll and she'll whine a little bit once in a while. But for the most part, she will sit at the door and wait very patiently. But if someone's not there, then she'll just go. And you can't really blame her.
No.
So these ones, they're known for being very gentle and they're very friendly and they're mellow. Like something that I've read, they come up a lot on like the best breeds for people with anxiety. And because their personalities are so chill. Now, like obviously right now she is not very chill. because she's a
Mhm.
puppy. And that's something that I've read a lot about, like that breed particularly. Like eventually they do get to that mellow kind of relaxed point, but when they're puppies and they're young, they're still going to have energy. So you've got to work to get that like gentle giant nanny noof kind of thing. But even so, she's still, I mean, you saw how she was getting at me just a few seconds ago.
Yeah.
She is
Oh
already conking, like, so she's already sleeping.
my goodness. Does she
Not,
nap a lot?
yeah, this is kind of her routine. She'll, we'll get up in the morning, we'll go potty, we'll eat, we'll chill for a minute, we'll probably go potty again, because pretty much, frankly, anytime you feed a puppy, they will have to poop. Um, and then she feels really good after that.
Yeah.
so she's ready to play. So we'll play. We'll do a little bit of training here and there. Like I think it's better to do like 15-minute increments throughout the day.
Yeah. Mhm.
So and then she's ready to take a nap.
Wow.
And we do that, a couple times a day, through about 3 times a day to be exact.
So did you know that you wanted to get her into training to become a therapy dog when you were researching her, or did that kind of come afterward?
It kind of came afterward. When I started working in the library, actually, like that was when I was like, oh, that's a really good idea. Because seeing the Reading to Dogs program and how cool it is, and just, I think, the excitement, and people get so happy when they come in. So it really is, it's something that like it just kind of goes through the building, like whether it's the kids, their parents, the staff. Like if you're for people who are dog people, it's really
Mhm.
kind of a nice kind of feeling. And the world is hard, so sometimes having like a dog come in is just like, it's just a good way to feel a little bit better. um
You're
so
exposed.
yeah, so that was what kind of made me think I could do that. That would be really fun to try to do. So she is enrolled to start at the end of November.
Oh wow.
Her classes, she'll have like 8 sessions. And then once she's a year old, she'll be able to take the test
Mhm.
and certify to see that she meets all of the requirements. So she's got to at least get to being a little over a year old, which I think is a good thing, because as
Right.
you can see, even every puppy, no matter the breed's stereotype, is going to have some rambunctiousness. So hopefully by the time we start that, we'll have some more of our basic stuff done, kind of figured
Yeah.
out, and then we can start really getting into the therapy dog work.
So what kind of training are you working on with her right now in the interim?
Right now, what I'm kind of focusing on is like the basics of, basically sit, stay, and come, and to
Mhm.
make sure she knows her name.
Mhm.
And we're doing potty training, and that I think has gone very well. Like she's had accidents, but again, very few. And she had an upset stomach thing for a little bit, so that I feel like that doesn't count.
Yeah, no.
Because when she's good, she's fine. She knows exactly what to do. And right now we're crate training, because
You get in
it
the back.
yeah, she's got a big old crate, which I probably need to like take in and make smaller for her, but that's more to like save her from herself. I know
Yeah.
like there's a lot of controversy, I think, about the crate. And I've read, here, I'll plug it right now. So I got this book from the library.
Yay. Okay.
It's Zach George's Dog Training Revolution. And I
Ooh.
really like this book because, one, it's written in a way that is not like too complicated for me to understand. But also he has videos on YouTube, so you can
Oh,
kind of get the extra reinforcement there. And I think that's kind of helpful. So that way,
help see kind of what
yes.
training that you're reading about.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And he talks about a lot about crates and stuff like that, and how, it's really not a cruel thing, because they're naturally done animals and they like to be like, she loves to be in small spaces, which is going to be a very tough awakening probably in a month. Because she already gets stuck sometimes when she's wandering around. So I think, yeah, so looking at that, so the crate I think is important. She likes being in there. It's just a matter of being by herself that we're still working on.
Yeah, the attachment of don't leave.
Yes, she needs to, we're working on getting her a little bit more confident and independent in that respect. And then of course, we're working on things like manners and training her not to be too nippy, because and the thing is, like, when they're her age, it's kind of a hit or miss. Like, some days they really seem like they understand everything you said, and then the next day it's like they have completely forgotten everything.
Reinforcement.
So you just kind of have to keep doing it, and eventually it starts to stick. And she's got some of it. Like, she will sit, and she's very stubborn. So when you ask her to come, sometimes she does it, sometimes she doesn't. She's very,
like
very, very human.
Selective hearing.
Mm-hmm.
Like, how much bigger is a Newfoundland supposed to get on average? Because are females bigger than males, or vice versa?
So the girls are usually a little bit smaller. I want to think the average female Newfie is maybe like 100 to 120-ish. But then the boys, it's like boys, it's like 120, 150 or something like that. However, I have seen girl ones that were as big as 160 and boys as big as 180. So,
oh my gosh.
Yeah. So, and then her mom was like 90 pounds. So she was a little smaller.
Wow.
And so I think I'm kind of guesstimating she's going to be around 100, which is
that's
good.
Yeah.
That's good. I mean, whatever happens, I mean, it's one of those things, like, they tell you you can't necessarily determine how big they're going to be when they're a puppy. Like, like usually, like, sometimes you can, but I don't think with Newfies you really can. So for instance, she was like, when they were born, she was the biggest.
Oh my
and then God. As the rest of her litter mates grew, she got smaller. Like, she was a little bit smaller. So because they just kind of outgrew her. So
and how did you come up with her name? Since we work in a library, and I have the inside info that it is literary based, so we have to ask.
It is, in fact, literary. Thank you for asking. So I named her Winnie after I came prepared. Finding Winnie.
Yes.
And this is one of my, like, most favorite children's books. It's the true story of Winnie the Pooh. And something that you learn in this book is that the real Winnie the Pooh was a girl bear. And the veterinarian so I guess, like, there was some sort of like a vagabond or something, and he was selling, and he had a bear cub. And so veterinarian, yeah, sure. Like, and the vet, like, bought the bear off of this guy. And so, and he named her Winnipeg because he had been staying in Winnipeg, Canada. And there's really amazing pictures in the back of this book of the real bear in World War I, and like posing with like the other with the guys in the military on their base. And like, she went to war with them, and she was kind of a mascot for them for a while. And then pictures of her at the zoo, and with the real Christopher Robin in the pen with her. So, oh my God. So that's where her name came from. About a lot of different things, a lot of really pretentious ideas. None of them fit. So I always thought, I always thought I would have one and name her Nana, like Peter Pan. And I still think that's a cute name, but it's kind of like, it's a very common name for a Newfoundland, because that dog was a Newfoundland. So I was like, let's think outside of the box.
So she does well with children.
Yes. Dog. This is a breed that's known for being very, very good with kids. They're super gentle. And one video I remember seeing that kind of sealed the deal for me about them. It was maybe like 10 years ago. And for me personally, like videos of gigantic dogs and small children are just kind of like kryptonite. So it's like it's what's the Landseer, and that's a
Mhm.
black and white Newfie with a toddler, and the toddler has this dog's toy and is just kind of bouncing it in front of him and just laughing, just belly laughing.
Like toddlers do.
And the dog is this big Newfie is just sitting there like, like this is nice. It's going to be a therapy dog, which is, which you do have to get certification for.
Yeah.
So like the ESA is the emotional support. That one is the one where you get a lot of controversy and you have people with like emotional support peacocks and weird things like that. And then you can literally print that certification off the internet, and that's where I think a lot of people get in trouble. Service dogs are the ones that if you see them out with a person, like, do not touch them, because they're working, they're helping somebody. Maybe they're seeing eye dog, or they're helping someone with blood sugar levels, or if they have seizures. And those dogs can and will attack, or not attack you, but like they can, like if you mess with one when they're trying to
So
work,
very insistent.
they're protecting their person. So therapy dogs, basically, it's like they're the best behaved dog, like they're like a well-trained dog, but even more so. So like she'll have to test being in crowds or
Yeah.
being around food. That's going to be a doozy for us. And no kissing on the face. We don't do no licks, which is going to be difficult for her because she loves to give you a little facial.
Yeah.
But it's just a safety thing. And
Yeah.
like I guess the majority of there are very few issues that the therapy organizations that we work with have, but I guess like whenever if there's an incident, it has something to do with that. So
Yeah. And is she going to have any kind of training that puts her around other dogs? Because when she's working, she's going to have to be around a mix of their.
Yes, yeah, that'll be part of it. It'll be socializing, so she's not going to be like that. I think that's like a huge part of the test, is they can't be dog reactive or aggressive or anything like that.
The dogs that we see, they come in and they in our library, they just sit in their corner and they ignore each other. Like there's that moment when they come in that they're happy to see each other, but then once their handlers tell them, okay, it's time to get going, they sit down and then they just are like, they completely ignore each other until it's time to go, and then they get happy again. It's
right.
Really cool.
Yeah, and they have to be like X amount of feet apart from each other during.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, because I asked about that once, and they said, yeah, they just they have to be, they have to keep a certain distance amongst.
Are you going to have to re-up her certification after a certain amount of time every year, just so she can kind of, as you said, keep training over and over?
Yes, I don't know how many times I'll have to do it, but I know like it's a good thing it's a common thing that you have to redo it, which I'm good with. I think that's honestly smart, especially because like standards change, and then if they get, if they start getting lazy about something, or they start losing something that they're supposed to do, I think it's a good thing to keep that going. And even after we get the training, I'll probably go, just so that way I know how to train a massive puppy. Hi, friend.
How to train your massive puppy.
And
I saw she's wearing a collar. When does she wear a harness? I know nothing about dogs. I'm going to come out and say I haven't owned a dog since I was a kid, and I know nothing. Does she have a harness, like a chest harness, to walk her with? Okay. I think that's pretty common enough for most dogs.
Yeah, it's more comfortable, and it keeps them from pulling.
Yeah.
Hers is a little big for her right now, which we're enjoying the novelty of that. Like that's not gonna last very long. I took all of the stretch, like pulled out to like all of the parts to make it as big as it could be. And then I was like, well, that's too big. And then I took it in and I was like, oh, no, it's still too big. So give her a
Mhm.
couple weeks and she'll fit
How,
that just fine.
how is she adjusting to the Virginia humidity?
We
It's
don't
awful.
I know, well, she really likes to be outside, so that's
Mhm.
good. So she's not too affected, but I try to keep her out and like it's usually early and late and then for
Yeah.
short amounts of time, like to go to the bathroom basically, because they're really sensitive to heat,
Oh,
especially as she's basically got a winter coat on in August.
I was gonna
So
ask how much grooming does a Newfoundland require?
they have a
If,
fair amount. Like right now, she's actually good because she's just got her puppy coat and it doesn't
Mhm.
really shed a lot. Eventually, that will blow out. Like they'll have a couple blowouts in their coats a year. And so once that comes out, I'll be able to like just pluck it like a chicken. Like it'll just pop
Oh
out. Yeah.
wow, we
And
used to
so,
shave.
yeah, used to shave me.
He didn't mind. He was just like, "This is great. I have a summer hairdo now."
Right. Yeah, they've got an undercoat, so they tell
Yeah.
you there's like that's like a protective guard too, so you don't want to do that. But it's going to be, I mean, summers in the future, it's just going to be maybe like clipped, and then
Yeah.
they have like cooling pads for them to sit on that a lot of them
I've
really like.
seen those. Yeah.
Mhm. And she's a big fan of ice. We love ice cubes. She will sit at the ice maker.
Just look. Like,
And
what?
if you get yourself some ice, you better not have the audacity to not give her some too. I'm just saying. Like she will look at you like
Where's my
hello.
ice?
Yeah, he's like, hello, I'm right here. So I try to give her some. Um, I was putting it in her water bowl for a while and that didn't really suit her style because she would just I know. How could I? So I just put it in some Tupperware for her, but she was like blowing bubbles with her nose in her water to
Oh
like, because she was
my
basically
god.
bobbing for the cubes and taking them out one by one and eating them. It was very cute.
My son does that with food he doesn't want to eat, and he'll take it off of his plate and be like, "No," and he'll just move it somewhere else. I'm like, "Quinn, food." Oh, so I saw she had her ball from earlier, and then a couple stuffed animals. What other toys does she really, really like right now?
Anything that's really squeaky and anything that's kind of like this that she can
I
just
was gonna
chew
say,
on.
yeah.
It sounds awful when she's chewing it because she's like rubbing her teeth on the plastic and it's kind of
Oh,
like nails on a chalkboard.
uh,
But it keeps her from biting me.
yeah.
And that's what matters.
And I'm guessing they'll eventually stop cutting teeth, and they'll have like their full adult range, and the
Hmm.
chew. And
Yes.
if you have any books laying around, which I see there's a ton behind you, you have to be careful not to, or shoes.
Yep. Yep. Yeah, she already got a cord, which is fine. I mean,
Oh
it's
no.
my fault though. I left it. I didn't think she would get it and she did.
Oh,
So, but that's a great point about not leaving books around because we actually have a lot of really good training books available on Hoopla, which I'll add in with a slide afterward. And
mhm.
and I liked that there were some that were obviously, of course, like for adults that are training, but there are kids books as well. And
Oh yeah.
honestly, I'm kind of thinking, well, for one, it'd be good to have the kids involved in training, and so that way they can learn too.
Yes.
But also, even as an adult, reading it is not so bad because it's still training the dog. It's still
Mhm.
information that's useful, as long as it's not telling you that you need to hit them every time they do something naughty or rub their nose in their
Uh,
accident, both things that they say that you are not supposed to do. As long
no.
as it's not telling them stuff like that, it's probably okay. But it's
What
just it just depends also like on the dog because you can't train every breed the same
right, exactly. And what did you learn reading the online resources that you didn't know necessarily before.
So
But
I was looking at one that it was called like everything that you're, things that you do wrong, basically.
oh man.
It was just talking about all the things that you do wrong when you're training a dog. And I'm like, yep, let's start there. And it's pretty short, so I would definitely recommend looking at that one. But basically it said things, hang on, I was taking notes. It said obviously just like something is like don't yell at them, but be firm, which is something I struggle with because I'm a
Right.
terrible authoritarian because I feel guilty because she'll just look at me and I'm just like, okay.
I hate to bring this up, but it is very similar to toddlers. Like they are at that age where you cannot reason with them. So your main goal is to just distract them.
Mm-hmm.
Very easy for your patience to go up like from here to like here, and then but yelling at them doesn't really work. It's all about the tone that you're using and reflection behind it.
Yeah, and reinforcement. Like
Yep.
one thing that, it makes a lot of sense, but I guess it's one of those things that's almost like it makes so much sense you wouldn't think about it, is when you say their name. Like if you say it when they're only use their name when they're naughty, then they're not going to come to their name. So if you associate their name with nice things, then they'll come. And I'm like, will that work? So I've been trying to do that a little bit more because I don't want her to be afraid of her name or just being more cognizant of that. So that was something that the book had that I was like, that's interesting. And then there were, what else did I say in here? Like basic things that you think that you're doing that aren't bad, but are. Like anytime you come in, like anybody who has a dog and they're like really excited when they come in and they see you and they jump.
Yeah.
But you don't want them to be jumping. But if you don't tell them not to in that moment, exactly, you're giving them
you have
positive
the
enforcement.
behavior as is or at least like adjust the behavior as it's happening. It makes sense to them otherwise.
Yeah, like it was just like it's about consistency. One that I think is that I have like is they say like don't train them when you're in a bad mood or if you're not having a good day or if you're tired, and I think that's true too because like they need a lot of patience. I mean, puppies are a testament to patience. They really are. But like if if you're not if you're having a rough day and you're taking it out on puppy, that's not really fair. And nobody's going to learn anything.
It's the same, honestly, again,
the same with the baby.
They pick up on your mood and how you're feeling, and that can really affect, what you're saying and what you're trying to get across. So that makes total sense because dogs are very smart and they can pick up on, even without you saying anything, they can like read your body language and just kind of the room in a way, see what you're going on.
Yeah, and Newfies, because they're often used for water rescue.
I was going to ask.
Yeah, they're often considered very like in tuned to humans because of that type of working thing. I'm not going to put her through water testing, but
I was going to ask if you were going to train her in a pool this one.
I mean, I think I would love to take her to swim because they are swimming dogs, but I don't foresee her doing any sort of water rescue anytime soon.
You're gonna rescue, especially at the library. I don't think any of them are surrounded by water.
No.
And me being ignorant, I'm surprised with all their fur that they're good swimmers. I would think that would make them happier.
Yeah, I kind of thought that too, is because they're kind of like, you think of how big and kind of lumbery that they are, that they wouldn't be, but they actually move pretty quickly because of how thick their bodies are and their fur, I guess. So two things I've learned that I had no idea about. Because of the water will just slide off the first level of their coat, and then the reason, so a lot of Newfies are drooly. It's just how it is. But I don't care. It's drool. It's whatever. But like they'll have like those droopy lips, and that's partly so that way water can come out when they're doing stuff.
Oh wow!
I know, right? It's like it makes so much sense. So like if she was doing a water rescue mission and she was like grabbing someone by the arm to try to pull them, the water would come out the sides of her mouth.
Oh, oh, and they're called Newfoundland, right? Because they come from Newfoundland.
Hmm.
Wow.
She's Canadian.
Yes.
Kind
Gonna
of.
ask. Is there a breed that's like similar to them? Because I know Saint Bernards are also big rescue
Hmm.
dogs and very drooly.
Yes, they're similar, I think, in size, I think, and probably I think in temperament for the most part too. Another one that's kind of big like that that people kind of put with them is like a Great Pyrenees, which is
Oh
just this
yeah.
big white kind of majestic looking dog, and they're used a lot for guardians of livestock. But that would be the next, and I think you have like Bernese Mountain Dogs a
Yeah.
lot. And then there's another one that's not quite as common, but I'm obsessed. They're called Leonbergers.
I've
And
never made.
oh, they're so pretty. They're I mean, they're kind of brownish and huge. But I was watching something on Animal Planet about them one time, and it was
Of
like
course.
this man. Yeah, of course, why not? I watch a lot of Animal Planet, but it was like an elderly man who had two, and he fell in a lake, and his big Leonbergers went under each of his arms and pulled him out.
Oh.
It's just like, man, that's amazing. But
So
yeah, those are kind of the similar ones.
Mhm. Do you have any advice for anyone who's looking to either adopt a dog? Because of course, it being pandemic, this is a very common trend now where a lot of dogs are getting rescued and there's a lot of pet adoptions happening. Um, and you don't see Newfoundlands a lot
Mm-mm.
in shelters, and so I'm guessing you contacted a private breeder
Yeah.
to get her. Yeah. Do you have any advice for someone who's looking to adopt a dog? Kind of what they should, what's a good advice for someone who wants? Because you thought a long time about this before you.
Mm-hmm. Make sure you have a lot of time. Really.
Which everyone has so much
Yes.
time now.
Yes. I mean, that's the thing, because like honestly, I've even thought about it, like thinking about it now. Like if I got her and I was working and this wasn't happening and I couldn't be home sometimes, it would be really hard. It would be
Yeah.
very hard. But that's the biggest thing. And I think it's like it's kind of cliche, but people are always saying, just be patient, just be patient. You have to be patient. And if so, I'm trying. So it's hard because you're sitting there looking at them like, why don't you know this? We talked about this.
You heard it. Is there
Yes.
a support group or a Newfoundland like group that you're in or that you get your
Hmm.
information from?
Yeah. So I actually went to they're called the Colonial Newfoundland Club and Rescue. So they're a
Mm-hmm.
club for people, but they also have rescue animals. And they one of the things that they always encourage people to do before they get a Newfie or any kind of giant dog or any dog really is if you have finding a local club or rescue and going to their events and seeing them and what they're like. So
Mm-hmm.
I made a friend who has like four of them, and
Oh
that
my
through
god.
that, so like I got to borrow hers for a while so I could see what it's like to have one.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, this is great. But yeah, it was kind of a good way to see like, because like yes, you can conceptualize that they're big, but once you see like 20 of them
Oh
in
my god.
close proximity, you kind of can see how big they are. Some of them are droolier than others. Some of them are just like completely
Mm-hmm.
droopy, and then other ones are like a medium amount of droop. Like she's got a little bit, but she's a puppy, so it's kind of hard to determine that. Like just
Mm-hmm.
by principle, she's kind of messy.
Yeah.
um, but that was, I think, a good thing to do because you realize that they're big, but once you're actually, see a dog that's like up
Mm-hmm.
to, your elbow, it's it definitely gives you a better understanding, and then you get to talk to people about them. Like something that I have learned with that was those people are like the people who have them are very friendly. They will answer any and all questions that you would have about what they're like. um, I know when we had Star the Newfie come to Central's. She was asked a lot, like how much does she weigh? What does she eat? How much does she poop? She answered every single one of those questions. Like, she was asked it several times and she just asked it. She answered it every time like it was the first, and it was just fantastic. And so, but those are, they'll tell you all about that stuff. And generally everybody who has them thinks that they're just the best because they're just nice. They're kind of like Ferdinand the bull, like they just want to sit there and smell the flowers.
Oh.
But when they're puppies, they are full puppies.
Yes. We look forward to seeing her at future Readings Dogs.
Yes. Yeah, she'll be there for sure. I'll try to get her involved as long as she's not being too wild or sleepy.
Like those are her two phases. There's no middle.
Pretty much. Yeah, like she has moments of being just kind of cute and mellow, but then it's like it's equally adorable and also terrifying because you just see the change in her eyes, like all of a sudden it's just kind of going, oh boy, here it comes.
I'm gonna get into mischief now. Be prepared. All right. Thank you so much for talking with me today about.
You're welcome.
And this will conclude our Reading to Dogs, virtual Reading to Dogs interview series. However, we're going to have more virtual Reading to Dogs dates in the fall. So be sure and check out our calendar of events for that. They'll continue to be virtual for the time being, but eventually we'll get back to, petting all the dogs who come into the library and just enjoying that draw, as you said at the beginning. Like it happens at Bull Run all the time. Like as soon as a dog comes in for Reading to Dogs, everyone just kind of like gravitates or their gaze is immediately on the dog.
Yeah, exactly. It's like this puppy. And